NXT starts off with a Trick Williams promo. Trick Williams starts off basically wanting his NXT title back and how he wants a match with Ethan Page and how he's going to do whatever it takes to eventually get his NXT title back. Then you get Cedric Alexander. Cedric Alexander comes out, ends up mentioning how he should listen to him, how he understands what Trick is going through, and how he needs to take his advice. Because before Trick Williams got out to the ring, Cedric was mentioning the advice he gave him, but Trick Williams is not listening. Then Ashanti Adonis comes out. He ends up saying that, look, he's just not going to listen to you. You need to just give it up. Trick Williams is not going to pay any attention to you. Trick Williams ends up responding and ends up saying that Ashanti needs to go back to SmackDown. Ashanti responds, ends up saying that I'm just here to pick up the ball that you dropped. Trick Williams responds back, ends up saying that I never dropped the ball. And he said your group couldn't even help you pick up the ball, mentioning Hit Row, which I thought was a very good line. Then Cedric comes back. He ends up saying that Trick, you're being too emotional. Being this emotional is not going to get you where you need to be. You need to listen to me. I had success. I won championships on the main roster. You need to listen to me. Then Ashanti responds to Cedric, ends up saying that nothing you tell him is going to click because he doesn't understand that he is in third place. Trick Williams responds, ends up saying that he's easily the best between the three and that he's basically going to get his NXT championship back. Cedric gets very upset. He gets angry, gets in Trick Williams' face because Trick Williams called himself the best. He's like, you're disrespecting me. The fact that you think you're better than me is basically disrespectful, and that I'm going to prove that later on tonight. So later on, it's going to be Cedric versus Trick Williams in a one-on-one match to prove who's better. I like this segment. I really like this segment. I love Ashanti Adonis. I did not know Ashanti had this ability, to be honest with you. But to be fair, they never featured him on the show, so how would I? But Ashanti really impressed me. Ashanti really impressed me. After this segment, though, well, towards the end of the segment, actually, Trick Williams did attack Ashanti Adonis because Ashanti Adonis was about to talk some more trash to Trick, but Trick Williams ends up attacking him and taking him out. But Ashanti Adonis really impressed me in this episode of NXT. He was really good in this episode. I really love what he did. Next, we get Brooks Jensen versus Josh Briggs in a no disqualification match. This match was solid. It was decent. Early on, they started brawling everywhere, brawling over the barricade. Brooks Jensen ended up attacking Josh Briggs during his entrance. But Josh Briggs ended up getting an upper hand and ended up doing a choke slam through the announce table on Brooks Jensen. Then it cuts to commercial. They end up using a bunch of weapons, the trash cans, a lot of kendo sticks. But we had a cool spot where there was a steel step in the ring, and Josh Briggs ended up doing not a German suplex, but he did like a suplex on the steel steps on Josh Briggs. But then we get towards the end of the match. Shawn Spears interferes in the match, and Brooks Jensen on the ground, and Josh Briggs has a chair, and he's about to hit him with it. And Shawn Spears gets on the ring apron and is telling Josh Briggs to hit him with it. Hit him with the steel chair. Josh Briggs gets frustrated and ends up trying to attack Shawn Spears, but Brooks Jensen ends up picking up the chair, ends up hitting Josh Briggs with the chair, taking advantage, and ends up hitting Then he ends up hitting the DDT onto the chair to pick up the victory. After the match, Brooks Jensen and Shawn Spears, I don't know if they're teaming up, but they're kind of teasing a team up because Brooks Jensen didn't really have a moment where it's like kind of confirmed, but Shawn Spears basically is like kind of like acknowledging that Brooks Jensen is like, following his orders. So it looks like Brooks Jensen is the guy that's going to be under Shawn Spears' wing, because Shawn Spears has been talking a lot about, helping certain wrestlers, find their true self, being a lost soul, being lost to the shuffle, and them finding their way. He wanted that to be Josh Briggs, but Josh Briggs didn't want that. So it looks like Brooks Jensen is going to be that guy. Next, we get Lexis King versus Eddie Thorpe. I'm not going to speak too much on this match. Eddie Thorpe wins. Eddie Thorpe wins pretty convincingly. Then Lexis King, after the match, ends up attacking Eddie Thorpe from behind. Then he ends up putting Eddie Thorpe's hand in between the steel steps. And then he ends up smashing his hand. I don't know what it was. It's what like the little like cane that he has or whatever that has like the crown on top of it. He ends up smashing his hand with that. And that's the end of the segment there. I love what they did here. Because now it's adding more feud to this rivalry. Because this rivalry was so stupid. The idea that you have beef with a person because of their music taste is so stupid. Like, I don't know who came up with that idea, but that's just stupid. But I love that at least Shawn Michaels decided to go in a different direction, because having a feud based off music is stupid. So at least they're having some more personal reasons to why they should hate. Well, really Eddie Thorpe. So at least they're adding more fuel to this rivalry, because having having issues with a person just because y'all don't have the same music taste is stupid. Next, we get Ora Mensa versus Ashanti Adonis. This match got official last week due to Ashanti tried to approach Jakar Jackson, but Ora wasn't having it. Ashanti early on was dominating, but he kept on letting Jakar Jackson be a distraction towards him. Ora ends up taking advantage of that and ends up picking up the victory there. This was a decent match, nothing too special. This was a solid match, showcasing what Ashanti could do. But of course, Ora Mensa was going to win, because of course they got to build up Ora Mensa with his potential match with Ethan Page that's going to happen later on. I mean, not next week, 2 weeks from now at the Great American Bash. Now we get No Quarter Catch Crew. Get a segment. They're talking to the family with Tony D'Angelo. Then you get Ren Sinclair. She comes out of nowhere. I think Charlie Dempsey was like holding like a ransom note or something, and they was trying to figure out who sent it, and it was Ren Sinclair. She pops in, ends up telling them that I sent it and that you need to just let me in the group. Then she ends up mentioning her match and mentions how, look, you guys better help me win, because if you don't, I'm basically going to expose what you guys did. So this plays into what happens next between Ren Sinclair versus Carly Bright. This was not that long of a match, but No Quarter Catch Crew basically interfere in the match, and Ren Sinclair ends up picking up the victory. Now, I will say there was one thing I did not like about this. I am so sick and tired of this thing, of WWE doing this, where they have AEW do this too, where they have women beat up on men, but men can't beat up on women. It's a small issue, but it's very annoying when I see it, because it's like they try to present these women as like these strong, powerful people, but they only do it very selective. Like, they want to make them be able to fight the guys, but the guys can't hit them back. This is my thing. I'm not the biggest fan of intergender wrestling, but if you're going to do it, you need to have it equal on both sides. You either have both sides able to hit each other, or no one hit each other at all. You can't play this one-way street, because it just, from any time a woman takes out a man, it just looks very stupid in my opinion, just because I know the man can't hit them back. Like, it just looks very stupid in my opinion. But I'm very interested to see what this Ren Sinclair and No Quarter Catch Crew looks like. I'm still confused on it, because like I said, majority of this faction is really just baby faces with one heel, which is a very weird dynamic, but it is an interesting dynamic. But I'm very interested to see where this goes. Next, we get Thea Hill. She has an interview segment. Not going to speak too much on this. Thea Hill, she's getting asked, questions. She mentions last year how she's a completely different person. Mentioned how she had no confidence, and now that she has all the confidence in the world, and that she's basically a grown woman now. Then the interviewer asked about Ridge. She ends up saying that Ridge inspired her to be herself, and that she sees a lot of herself in Ridge, and that people judge Ridge for not being perfect, but no one is. And basically ends up saying that, look, she wants to win an NXT title, and how she want to prove, chase you, and make them proud. Good overall segment. Nothing too special there. Now we get Trick Williams versus Cedric Alexander. This was a solid match. This was a really solid match. But Trick Williams ends up picking up the victory. Of course, he has to. He has to be on that momentum, trying to get all the momentum he can to eventually get his NXT championship back from Ethan Page. But after this, he starts celebrating. He goes to the outside. Pete Dunne ends up attacking Trick Williams. He ends up attacking Trick Williams, put him in the ring, starts stomping his face out over and over and over again, constantly stomping his face out. And that's the end of the segment there. I'm very interested to see where this goes. I like what they're doing here. They're kind of pushing Trick Williams away from the title scene, which is good, because they're trying to build that story of Trick Williams fighting his way to eventually get the NXT title back. It's a good thing, because I thought that Trick Williams would just lose his title and then win it back in like a month or two. So I kind of like what they're doing here to give him more time to like chase the title, instead of just winning it back instantly. And plus, they've been playing this story with Pete Dunne, kind of going on this rampage, like what he's doing on Raw with Sheamus and now with Trick. Him and Trick Williams been having interactions where Pete Dunne is really not like really not messing with Trick Williams. He's kind of like just like it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird because anytime Trick Williams try to ask him advice or ask him questions, Pete Dunne is like, look, do it yourself. Like, don't ask me no questions. Just figure it out yourself. And Pete Dunne ends up attacking Trick Williams. I like the angle that they're going with here. Very interested. I know the matches that they're going to have is going to be sick, so I can't wait for that. But this is a very interesting angle, and I'm excited to see where this goes. Now we get Sol Ruka, Carmen Petrovic versus Metaphor versus Jakar Jackson and Lash Legend. This match got started up during a segment earlier in the show where Sol Ruka, Lola Vice, and Carmen Petrovic was looking at the Unholy Union about their tag titles, mentioning their tag titles, and then Lash Legend ends up coming out and Jakar Jackson comes out as well, ends up mentioning how they're going to be the ones to dethrone the Unholy Union. They go back and forth. This is what caused this match. This was an okay match, but Metaphor picks up the victory, and they basically ended up calling out Unholy Union for those tag titles. And it's official. Week 1, Unholy Union versus Lash Legend and Jakar Jackson for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. I'm very interested to see how this play. Well, we know who's going to win, but my thing is this. Why are we having this match, though? Like, NXT don't have a tag team division at all, and the tag team titles don't exist anymore. So I don't understand why are we having this match. And number 2, I kind of feel like this is disrespectful, only because we know those tag titles are not that important, but it's like we all know if this was Jade and Bianca, they would not appear on NXT. This is a fact. That's why I feel like it's kind of disrespectful, because it's like when Jade and Bianca had those titles, they constantly defended those titles on PLEs, constantly showcased them. But the moment you put them on someone else, they barely get TV time, and now they're on NXT. Now, I don't look at NXT as less than, but NXT is the lesser show compared to Raw and SmackDown. So I don't know. I just feel like it's a little disrespectful to the Unholy Union to a degree, because it's like the moment you take the titles off of Jade and Bianca, all of a sudden they don't get showcased, and now you're putting them on NXT. If this was Jade and Bianca, this really wouldn't be happening, but I guess. But I'm interested in the match though at the Great American Bash though. Now we get Ethan Page. Ethan Page comes out throughout this entire show. He's constantly going through this crazy mental crisis over Ormenta pinning him last week. Constantly going through this mental crisis of Ormenta pinning him. He ends up bringing the referee, and he basically ends up asking the referee about what happened last week, and basically, did Ormenta actually pin him? The referee told him that since it was technically not official, it does not count. Ethan Page ends up taking that. Of course, ends up saying that, you see, even the referee agrees with me that he did not pin me. Ormenta immediately comes out, ends up getting a roll-up pin on Ethan Page and pins him again for the 1, 2, 3. And then after this, the crowd start chanting 1, 2, 3 over and over again. This is good. This is really good. This is a really good. I love what they did here. This is really good. They're building up Ormenta potentially to take off that NXT championship. We know he won't, but I love what they've been doing here. This is really good. Next, we get the Rascals to get the main event. The Rascals in a 6-man tag versus Nathan, Action, and Javon Evans. This was a really good match. As expected, when you have the Rascals and you got Javon, Nathan, Action, you have this super fast-paced, high-flying action all over the ring. This was a really good match. This was really solid match. But the Rascals ends up picking up the victory, and they're getting closer and closer to eventually taking those tag team titles off of Nathan and Action. Now we get to Ethan Page. He talks to Ava and ends up officially basically asking Ava for a match against Ormenta for his NXT Championship. And it's official that Ormenta and Ethan Page will have a match at the Great American Bash on week 2. So I'm very interested to see what that happens. And then earlier in the show, I forgot to mention, Joe Hendry will be making his appearance on week 1 of the Great American Bash to do a live performance. Can't wait to see how that plays out. Most likely he's going to do more than a live performance. He's probably going to have someone attack him or have an interaction with a couple wrestlers. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. But you guys let me know what you guys thought of this episode of NXT. It was a solid show overall. Leave your opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, that's it.